roll call?
Sure. Linda Bush-Spahn. Kelly Cordova. Here. Catherine Cox. Here. Bruce Fortuna.
Here.
Tom Kurtz.
Here.
Catherine Keenan. Here. Bob Lee.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Wait, I missed one.
Who did I miss? Oh, I'm so sorry. You're not on my list yet. Welcome, Michael. I'm sorry about the slight. And then do we have any public invited to be heard? No.
Shoot, I don't know if everybody has met Michael or new
Yeah.
members, so welcome.
Thank you.
Michael.
Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, okay. Great question. So yeah, my name's Michael. Been in Longmont for 7-ish years, somewhere around there. I had 2 kids and was a stay-at-home dad for 3 years, so that was one of the reasons I wanted to join the board. I remember during COVID, we came here once, and there was the tiny ones that I fell in love with it. That kind of makes sense. So especially with the children's wing being added, I was interested in doing it. So I'm no longer a stay-at-home dad. Sadly, my wife wanted my dog, so we switched. Yeah. Thanks. Can I think of it? Is it Bob? Okay. Yes. Okay. It's repeat. Yes. Nice to meet you. First time.
And then, has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from December 18th? Any corrections? Motion to approve. Is there a second? Bruce? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Unanimous? I think we're ready for sessions. Our first session of the year was some items given to Eric by Visit Longmont, featuring our new mascot, Monty the Monster. So we have a drinking glass and also a pen. And then our second one is an item that I purchased online, but we didn't have a copy, and it has a nice colored, lots of colored imagery article about Prospect Newtown. So this was published in 2002 when the neighborhood was still being built. It talks a lot about Wallace, and so there's a picture of him and the background of him and all of that. So I thought this was something that we should get, and honestly, this is the only copy we got online for sale. So I purchased 8 of them. So yeah, that's it. So any questions?
With the Monster, I don't know whoever had him 20 years, if he does take off or if he doesn't take off. Either way, it's a win.
I didn't know that the Long Monster had a name. Is he newly named?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very new. Yep. The Visit Longmont did a contest in late 2023 to do a new mascot for Longmont. There are 3 options, and Monty the Long Monster won out, and then they did a whole detailed design, and there's actually even a costume, so you might see Monty if he was at the Longmont Lights Parade. And hopefully you'll see him at more events in the future. But it's kind of a fun night for
For some
everybody.
reason, I missed the name of the Long Monster. It's exciting the same as mine. How much did you pay for the magazine?
Thank you. It was like $18, $12, somewhere in there.
Do you want to go to more of these? So let's so move.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? That's unanimous. The report from the director.
Right. So, just kind of a few things about 2024. It was a very successful year. Obviously, we started the construction of the Stewart family courtyard, completed that. We've had a couple of events out there, including our Sunset Soiree. And we don't have our final numbers yet, but I'm pretty sure Build, Design, and Create with Lego will be our most attended single exhibit ever. Our closing weekend was over 700 people.
Coincided with the free Saturday?
Yes, so that free Saturday was crazy. It was, I think, for like a non-opening, which is kind of a regular day, probably our biggest attendance on a single day, 565. And then we also added several new education programs, new series, kind of in-depth, creative series for adults.
You said Siri.
And also some birthday parties, new program, Discovery Days. Obviously, 2025 is looking to be even more transformative. A few other things just to highlight. So our LEGO exhibit is closed, and February 1st, our Picasso exhibit will open up. January 31st is the evening opening of that. Some of you will be able to attend that event to see 62, I believe it is, prints by Picasso, as well as 2 ceramics by Picasso. Collections.
Yeah, the big news is on January 6th, we submitted our planning grant to the National Endowment for Humanities. We helped with that, so fingers crossed, we will not find out until August. Get accepted for that. The total amount of the grant was just under $60,000, which is the max we can ask for. Yeah, just looking forward to next month. We've got 2 new interns starting next week, so get ready for
Under education, right now is a bit of a quiet period for education. But next week they will ramp back up with full Discovery Days, Art and Sip, Team Craft and Create, and our adult creative explorations. A little bit later. So what's going on there? Art in Public Places is overseeing several permanent art installations right now. There's 2 new parks, Clover Meadows and Fox Meadows parks are both getting new permanent pieces, and then there's always work going on around the changing art exhibits. So there's Art on the Move, sculpture programs around town, and then the Shop Art program where they paint the electric boxes. Those will start up again. In the auditorium, end of the year is always a lot going on. Our holiday show is some of our biggest programs. We have 2 holiday show programs, and both of them essentially sold out. They do, so always good to have 2 sold out shows back to back for one of our programs. And looking forward to another full season of auditorium programs coming in the spring. Under development, the year-end giving campaign was successful. We had a match by the Friends of the Museum of $30,000, and we ended up raising $32,000. So pleased to have a full match from friends. All of that will go toward museum expansion. Your visitor services, again, you can just kind of see on this the difference between Lego and a more typical exhibit, our agriculture art exhibit from last year. Seeing twice the numbers that we do in the Lego exhibit, which we think bodes really well for opening up the children's gallery. Marketing, I hope some of you have received our Winter 2025 program catalog. I got mine earlier this week at home, so take a look through that. All programs are open for registration, and we're already starting to see good registration throughout. So if you're interested in attending auditorium programs, taking an art and civic class, signing up for our opening, those are available. We had a bit of a hiccup last night with our online registration, but looks like it's working again today. So, but by all means, we're always welcome feedback on how that registration process is going. We've had some folks recently talk about how challenging it is, and it's good to let people know that there are challenges around. And last up, under volunteer and evaluation coordination, I'll just mention that Courtney, our volunteer evaluation coordinator, is going to be working to evaluate our current permanent history exhibit from Range Rising. Since as part of the expansion, that gallery gets reconfigured, so that exhibit will be removed. So it's kind of our last chance to see how it is working, see what we want to carry forward into future exhibits. And then, not on my report, but I'll just kind of share generally about progress on the expansion plans. So we are currently wading through both the City Design Review Committee, I feel like a broken record on this one. We're meeting next Friday with some of the folks on design review to hopefully, instead of having emails back and forth, more in-person conversations, like, oh, what do we need to do to get this across the finish line? We're also waiting for feedback from the building department on our building permit. That should come in between the end of this week and the end of the month. And then we are right now trying to put in place the final piece of financing for this. So that's kind of in a pivotal place right now. So hopefully we'll be able to get that wrapped up so we can sign contracts and get moving forward with construction. The kind of accelerated timeline would be that we would go out to bid in February, get bids back, working on contracts in March, and then start construction mid-May. This depends on both design review and financing to get in place. Crossing our fingers that all of that will get done and be able to start construction once the possible forces.
What's the financing process of that?
So we have been fundraising, and as we've done that, then periodically we transfer funds over to the city. So we've got about $4.8 million right now ready to go that's been appropriated by City Council. But that does leave us with an estimated gap, depending on how bids come in, somewhere around $1 million or more. So that's the piece that we're basically working through to make sure we've got a source for that, and we can get that moved over to the city coffers and approved by city council.
So you said you might have taken on private financing?
It would be private financing. City budget is very tight, and right now the Safety and Justice Center is also undergoing renovation. That building is it's only about 10 years older than this building, but is in kind of rough shape.
The foundation was pretty bad. I went in there when they were pulling up, and they were just gonna change the carpet. And then they saw huge cracks in the foundation. And that went into the city hall building when they were doing the garage. They had to redo some structural to keep the building up, so it wouldn't collapse.
So yes, we are very lucky.
We're not going to work.
There are no cracks in the foundation that we've seen.
Just
so.
don't take the carpet out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it was that one, the library and public safety building all had really bad structural decay happening. And that was all in that first year I was on council. That's COVID. So buildings are falling apart, COVID hits. Yeah, it's right. It was a lot.
Excuse me, I had some throat surgery last week, so I'm still recovering. But I think I asked last time, but do you know the design review committee is focusing on, maybe are concerned about?
There are two issues that they have raised. One is relating to there is a city code around needing to have a certain amount of windows facing the street. And because we have gallery space and storage space, we really don't want windows in those spaces. And we have all of this already glass around the building. So our architect is trying to make the case that we meet the total for a building, the total percentage of glass that we need to have. It's just this new addition. We wouldn't really put windows into the galleries, but what we would have to do is basically do fake windows on the outside, which is kind of a waste of money in so many ways. And so that's one thing that's been raised, and so working through that. And then the other issue that I think is probably a much more complicated issue that I'm less understanding of exactly what the issues are, but it relates to the site drainage, because this whole campus is all interconnected in terms of the museum and the rec center and potential future expansion of city facilities to our north, and then a potential development to the west. And so they're having to take all of that into account as they design the drainage for our expansion. Even though it's a very small expansion, it still sort of triggers lots of things. And so there's a civil engineer that's been working pretty regularly with the folks on the design review that look at that particular aspect, make sure that we meet all of the drainage requirements. That's something that there's definitely a lot of back and forth to make sure that the requirements are met. So that's probably the most likely if there's going to be a delay, probably where it might come from, because we're not able to meet the requirements in the current design, and then we have to go back and do another round of redesign. The Windows piece, I think they pretty much know how to do that. It's just a question of whether it has a benefit to have fake windows on the outside of the building just for looks. So. Questions?
I have a question about, the auditorium program, we talked about the rental being down. I was wondering, how many rentals came in 2024? So it says 18 rentals are already in the queue, which seems like a lot. How many rentals were there last year?
We had around 40 last year.
Oh,
So it definitely bodes very well that
yeah, so it's
we're
approaching
already
half
seeing.
of that already. Okay, thank you.
As for the increased attendance, how did sort of the shared facilities like bathrooms and guys they were all fine? Was it like obvious that it was crowded field or?
I mean, certainly, on those 500-person days, the bathrooms showed it, but in general, and we are very fortunate to have a wonderful custodian, Herman, who works his tail off to make this building shine. So the fact that you don't see, the heavy use that this building gets is a credit to his efforts. He comes in very early in the morning and gets the building looking great. So we're really lucky with him. But that's also part of why there is, as part of the expansion, a significant addition of bathrooms to spread out use of those, because they get heavy use from our children's programs, auditorium, and now the children's gallery building. More use of those as well. Any questions? Thank you all, and I'm always happy to answer questions by email, and if you have any follow-ups or anything, or just curious, and if you ever just want to come by and chat or see the museum, I was able to take Michael into some of the back rooms and things he met last week, so if anyone ever wants to do that.
That would also mean my kids happened to be here while I was doing the tour. Like, was a big room here, so I was pictures through the walls.
Okay, then I don't have a report, but I do think we had talked about forming a subcommittee to talk about a resolution, and I think we're gonna just wait until we are able to meet with the city manager and talk to the city manager first, and then kind of see what that yields and then proceed from there. So that's what I think that would make the most sense. And then on our unfinished business, we have our joint meeting with the advisory board and finance board.
So I wanted to share just kind of a few things that we were thinking would be helpful during that joint meeting, and then also get you all's, if there's things that you would find helpful in that joint meeting. So one is just a chance for the two boards to meet and understand what your roles are, since you both are two museum-oriented boards that we work with. Looking back at 2024, looking ahead to 25, looking at some of the numbers around that, and particularly, as we're going into this both expansion and then with our galleries closed for renovation, how we continue to be visible in the community, and how advisory board can support the Friends Board as they continue to raise funds for this project. So some of the things that people want to cover, but I'm also very open to hear what you all would like to cover.
What time is that meeting?
It is 5:30. We will have dinner. So.
Oh.
Sounds good to me. That's an addition to the normal meeting?
Yeah.
I assume that board also has like a
mission statement, like, can you see some of that in advance, maybe?
Yeah, we'll,
Or a charter, or I don't know what their official thing is, but if you can see it ahead of time.
Yeah, I had asked Eric last week, I think, is there anything we could do to prepare so that the meeting is productive?
Or if there's like a particular initiative that they're working on right now, you know, it might be focused on what that is.
so their focus certainly right now is the capital campaign. That's kind of been what they've been working on the last year and a half. They're also, I think, they have a lot of fairly newer folks on their board. Had a lot of board recruitment over the last year. And so it's also just kind of getting familiar with operating a nonprofit board, and I think they're still formalizing some of their processes and so forth.
Did you ask something about the corporate transparency?
I have not yet,
Okay.
but I will be sure to do that, yes.
Was it you, the museum staff that really like did the sunset story, or is that something that came from the Friends Board?
It was staff driven primarily. Megan Peters, our fund development manager, headed it up. The Friends did provide support for kind of those parts of it that were very directly fundraising oriented, because there are rules around using city resources for fundraising, and kind of as a result of that, we decided that the future Sunset Soiree will be entirely funded by the Friends. It's just going to be a lot cleaner, rather than, even though we weren't using tax dollars to raise money, that's not allowed. We were using donated dollars, but it's still much cleaner if we can just say this fundraiser is not, no tax dollars are being used to put on this fundraiser. So they certainly supported it in that way. Weren't the ones, calling the caterer and things like that. So yeah, I'll be happy to share the mission of the Friends, and we'll certainly put together an agenda and probably some kind of reports of the 2024, and then looking ahead to 2025, well in advance of the meeting, so we've got time to take a look over those and review them.
Would it be helpful to know who's on it? Like, I happen to know people who are on it, but I don't know if I'm sure.
Yeah, I can share a membership list as well.
What's the history behind the Friends?
How far does it date back? Certainly it's been here longer than I've been here. And it's always been essentially a support organization, because people want to give to a nonprofit, a 501c3 tax exempt organization. So it was set up with the idea that it's much, people are much happier to give to that and get their letter back from their nonprofit, even though you can deduct money given to the city. It's just cleaner to do it the other way.
Doesn't it go to the general fund first? I feel like it goes into the big pool first, and then it gets, there's too many channels.
We do have a called 582, the Museum Services Fund, where donations designated for the museum can go, so that we don't get totally over the general fund.
Okay.
But donations to the Friends, then it's unequivocal that is what the museum supports. So more straightforward. And they've funded projects over the years. They've funded exhibitions, and then when we built the auditorium, that was kind of the first museum to have again, channeled through the friends, and they're involved in fundraising on that as well. But they've definitely kind of been building up their strength as a nonprofit with the capital campaign and with some new folks on the board that have a lot of nonprofit board experience. Excited to see the board grow and change. And I hope it's okay if we do the same, share the membership list of the advisory board and you all's mission with the Friends Board as well.
Under new business, we have listed the February 19th board meeting with this evening.
Right, so this kind of came out of our discussions last month around funding of museum operations, and when I spoke with my boss, Jeff Friesner, and he was saying, well, probably the first step might be to talk with the city manager so that you all can share with him, what the museum's needs are, and also he can talk about some of the broader city perspective and share that as well. So originally we tried to get him for the January meeting, family commitment. So coming in February, but I think it's a chance to both share and also kind of listen to what he sees, and obviously, he's taking direction certainly from council and council's priorities as well. Certainly one of council's key priorities is early childhood work, and I think that's where really the new expansion with the Children's Gallery and our Green Lab exhibition in that gallery are something that really ties in well with council priorities. Those are some of the things. We've certainly made requests in the past for operations funds for the budget, but that's really the critical need going forward in 2026 when we open the expanded museum, to make sure that we find some way to get those some staff resources to operate that. And I'm, again, happy to talk with folks individually if you have more detailed questions.
Certainly. Does the liaison work with the schools?
There's not really like a group within the city necessarily that I'm aware of. A lot of city departments work with schools, but I don't think it's necessarily coordinated by any particular.
Do we have?
In the museum, it's primarily handled through the education department, so Ann Maca works regularly, particularly with our a lot of connection with the Innovation Center, and then obviously with the teachers that come into the schools.
Can you look at this the most sought after funds from the city for which program?
In terms of the museum's kind of needs, I can certainly put together kind of some of what we requested last year in funding. That I think this is the same kind of request that we'll have. So yeah, I'll be happy to share kind of our top range budget. And I had some justifications on those.
I have one question. You have finalizing the exhibition schedule for 26 through 28. When will that be coming out?
It'll be a little while yet because our first step in doing an exhibition schedule is looking at exhibit rental companies. So for example, the Picasso exhibit came from a rental company. And then we work with them on contracting and things like that. And then kind of around those usually have fairly set dates. Then we will slot in our more in-house developed exhibits. So we're basically at the stage of, okay, we've got some exhibits we're excited about potentially bringing in. Now we need to work through contracts and we actually work it out and bring these in on the time slots that we'd like to do. Then see is there any issues in the contract that might cause problems, or are there requirements that we can't meet, things like that. So I can sort of generally share some of the topics that we're looking at. So the exhibit we're hoping to open with is an Andy Warhol exhibit. And then the next exhibit that would open after that would be a Longmont history exhibit, kind of bringing back some of the things from our Longmont 150 exhibit we did in 2021. That would be a longer term history exhibit in what will eventually be our permanent history gallery, but that we're still planning fundraising for. So this would be kind of a 2 to 3 year exhibit. And then after that one opens, then we would go into our feature gallery again with an exhibit we're working with a curator from CU who is developing an exhibit on futurism, and particularly futurism as it is envisioned by a variety of Black, Indigenous, color artists. That one has the working title of Here and Now. And then after that, the next traveling exhibit would be on Japanese kimonos. So both traditional kimonos and then also contemporary artists and kind of their reinterpretation.
Cool.
And I think the final one that we're looking at that's more out in the 2028 realm is another photograph exhibit by the same company that toured the Picture in the West exhibit we had early in 2024. So that's kind of our broad outlines. Now we need to nail down details and make sure all these actually work on our schedule.
The bigger plan is like 2 in the feature gallery per year, so the 6 month for feature gallery.
At least in the initial, as we're getting going, I think we talked about the feature gallery being able to be divided and potentially doing a smaller exhibition and perhaps local artists or local history or something that can be done in-house or a hands-on special exhibit as well. So some of those things, I think we're going to have to wait until we've got the building built and really see how it works before we're able to commit to that more intensive schedule. But we've heard a lot from the public that they'd like to see more changing exhibits. We just probably don't have capacity until we get our staff up to a higher level to do that.
And then in the children's gallery, is that going to have different exhibits that come in, or is that?
That will be more of a permanent exhibition. It'll be somewhat modular, so we may have an area that will change out periodically. We'll shut down one piece and change out that area, but our anticipation is that that gallery won't be complete change out on a regular basis. always come in and see the mushroom house. That's something we've heard that kids really like having that consistency. Every time they come, they see the same thing.
Once there is a professional space, do you still see doing occasional main exhibits that have, I think the Lego is probably for children focused.
Right.
Will there be less of those because there is a permanent children's place?
I think less, but not
zero.
none. Yeah, because one of the nice things about like the Lego exhibit is it has an opening date and a closing date, and so there's just this there's an urgency. I've got to get there and see that. Versus the permanent exhibit. Well, yeah, I can see that. But those are also, changing exhibits are much more labor intensive. So I think we're hoping to kind of find that happy medium of staff capacity versus bringing in the children's audience.
Questions from the board?
No. You've come to the gospel and if you would like food and are not a member of our giving club, reserve your charcuterie tray. They're only $8. They're a great bargain. And cheese and meat from cheese importers. Right. Giving club member and food is provided.
I think I saw in the report, the SPAR date has been set already.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
So September is a very challenging month to fit in events because there are lots of things going on in the city. So we've actually moved it to Friday night, September 5th. This year, Labor Day is actually on September 1st. So it's as early as it can be. So we are doing it the Friday after Labor Day. And that's our hope, is that we will kind of establish that as our date and get that kind of in people's calendars as our first Friday after Labor Day is the museum square.
Anyone like to move to adjourn? Also, all in favor? It's unanimous. We are adjourned at 5:16.